How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to my channel, and a big warm welcome to JGigs. So JGigs is joining for a really exciting conversation we are going to have today. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, man, but I just want to say you might be my favorite content creator in this gacha space, so it's pretty exciting for me to have you here right now. For anyone that has not had the pleasure of being introduced to you yet, do you want to let everyone know what you're all about and your history with these games?
Yeah, that's super flattering, man. I appreciate that. I've been making content for gacha games for, I guess, 5 years now. I started with Summoner's War technically, but I caught some traction with Raid, branched out and started doing kind of goofy comedy, music type stuff, and now we just kind of do whatever comes to us in the day, and people seem to enjoy the vibe. So here we are.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think the first thing I ever saw of yours was a rap. So this is a bit of a renaissance man in the gacha space. So I guess quickly, let's talk about your relationship with WoR, and then let me tell the people what we're going to discuss today, or maybe you should. So you have a little movement, a little community action with people that follow me are going to be familiar with. I love doing like crowdsourced, community sourced, events and data gathering, any fun stuff like that. You've got a really cool, I'll call it a movement even, going on in RaidShadowLegends that I thought maybe you could chat about briefly, and then we could talk about how that kind of mentality and that kind of, I don't know, happenstance can relate to Watcher of Realms and the game that I love, I think you love, and many of our viewers love.
Yeah, so we're doing a spending strike of sorts for the month of December for Raid, because for a long time there's just a lot of problems in the game, a lot of problems with the developer and their handling of the game. So we're trying to at least get their attention through the month of December. So we're going on a bit of a spending strike, which I'm always free to play in Raid anyway, so it's not that big of a change for me. But I decided, instead of being so passive about it, I would try to actually get everybody's attention, and anybody that feels the same way and wants to participate can participate in the spending strike. And we've kind of pivoted into turning it into a fundraiser now, so we're raising money for St. Jude for the month of December. So even if we can't make any changes in Raid, at least we did something good with everybody's attention and effort. So
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, especially like if you guys are going to mobilize anyway, why not guarantee a happy outcome? Because who knows if Plarium is going to listen. And I'll say, for anyone that doesn't know what St. Jude is, that is a fantastic children's hospital supported just by donors and charitable endeavors. So I know I myself will definitely be donating. I'll just say right now, I'll throw $30 to that. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate that, dude.
Really appreciate what you're doing there. This is a Watcher of Realms channel, a Watcher of Realms video. So I was thinking, and I guess it's worth saying, you're a free-to-play player, I'm a free-to-play player. A big reason I went free-to-play, and I stay free-to-play, even though people might say like my account is corrupted because I get content creator awards, stuff like that, is very much like out of the principle of the fact. Spending is addictive. These games are slot machines. So for me, I like to lead by example. So I choose just to straight up not do a budget or anything. I don't know if I trust myself, and I think it's better to set the example personally, just to not spend. So I really like that you're, leaning into that kind of thing. Can I ask?
Well, I actually have to stop you. I
Please.
started free to play in Watcher of Realms. I am no longer free to play in Watcher of Realms.
Ooh, okay.
I pivoted because I like what they're doing so much. I've never felt pressured to spend in the game. I've never thought it's not like I needed to spend to get through a wall. I never felt that way. But after about 5 videos, I was like, I really like what they're doing. Maybe we'll go low spend. And then after another few videos, I was like, I think I'm just gonna spend at will, just because I like the game and I like what they're doing so much. And it's kind of the same energy I have with Raid. I stopped spending in Raid because I don't like what they're doing. So any other game that's doing things that I like, I'm more than happy to spend. So I'm not free to play at this point. I've put I'm not a whale, but I've spent a little bit of money.
I totally respect it. I've actually, Watcher Realms is what has gotten me considering spending again, but out of principle, I won't. I hope you went for the Priv card at least.
Yes, I do get that. The Dragon
Priv
Pass,
card.
the Priv card, yeah.
Perf card's like the strongest value in any gacha game I've ever played. The bonus drops alone
nice.
it's wacky. But that's great to know. And you've actually, let's just cover your history really quickly. You've been playing, we just checked, for like exactly 52 days or something, right? And been basically making content right from the get.
Yep.
All right, sweet. So everyone make sure to go check that out. Link will be in the description, top and comment. So tell me, what were the devs doing in Raid Shadow Legends that was not to your liking? And then what made you want to mobilize in this kind of way and take action? And then maybe we can eventually transition into what the devs are doing well in Watcher of Realms, and then maybe let's maybe put on some pessimistic glasses and wonder where may they go astray.
Sure.
Let's let them know now what not to do.
Yeah. So one of my big issues with Raid is a lack of concern with balance. There's very few balance patches. Arena has been stagnant for a long time with the Terrace and Marichka meta. So lack of concern with balance, and then lack of creativity in a lot of ways. The events tab is always boring. It's always very grindy. There's just a lot of things that have piled up over the years, not to mention the shady tactics that they do. The old school players will remember the Foley Fusion thing, and there's been things like that throughout the years. So it's just kind of a big pile up over the years. And then I think the Champ Pass might have been the final straw, the thing that pushed me over.
What
we've
is
been
that,
waiting on this.
For me and
you
viewers
haven't
that
played
don't
a
know?
minute. Oh man,
I haven't played Raid in like a year, so.
Dude, okay, so we've been asking for a battle pass forever, right?
So I started playing end of 2019, so I think it was like April or May of 2020. We got the, what was his name? Whirlum? Is that it?
Whirlum.
That was great. Is it like that?
It was great. Yeah, so no.
Okay.
That was the first battle pass they did, and it was great. It had a lot of rewards in it. It was worth working for. It was really good. We asked for years for another one, and then they implemented something called the Forge Pass. Are you familiar with that?
That was there towards the end of when I was playing. I never bought it.
All right, yeah, not anything anyone asked for, right?
No.
Now they've added another pass called the Champ Pass. So they did a crossover with Xena, and they did this new battle pass.
That I've seen when I pull up BlueStacks to play Watcher of Realms sometimes on other people's accounts. I see Xena, so I'm familiar with that.
So and that sounds cool conceptually, but then the battle pass is just so empty and boring and not really worth anything beyond the champion. And it's just kind of like, you guys had years to do something with what we want, and this is what you spit out at us. So that was kind of the thing I think that nudged me over. Like,
it's interesting too, because if this is there, I guess that should be over 3 years since the Whirlum Battle Pass. And I don't know if this was ever confirmed, but very much the community I wasn't a content creator at that time, but it felt like the sentiment was that pass was too good and they regretted it.
That's what it seemed like. It seemed like they think they could have gotten way more money for it, or I don't know what they thought negative impact it had, other than that maybe they should have made more money than they did on it. So I don't know. You
know what? Because I feel like we're about to lay into Raid pretty heavy. Let's lay into Watcher Realms really quickly. At that time when that came out, the game was still a lot older than Watcher of Realms is now. And one amazing thing that had that I remember is, I'm trying to remember her name. Oh my god, Frozen Banshee was in that pass. Who, for people that don't play Raid Shadow Legends, at that time she was a new rare hero, and she was a fantastic rare hero. And if you've only ever played Watcher of Realms, the words fantastic and rare in the same sentence might be jarring, but actually in other gacha games, heroes that aren't gold are good. So I will say, I'll give props to Raid for that. But yeah, that was a cool thing. I think free to play, you got Stag Knight. I remember getting Stag Knight, which was crazy.
Yep.
So again,
they've definitely done good stuff for sure. Yeah. But there's also a lot of bad stuff.
No, absolutely.
The bad outweighs, and that's kind of where the energy comes from with them.
Absolutely, and I do want to unpack that. I guess I just want to keep the I feel like Watcher Realms is so freaking awesome, and I love it so much that sometimes I myself, but I think also viewers, lose sight of the fact that this game is brand spanking new. when Raid started off, the first Void Fusion Raid ever had in like Christmas 2018 was for like one of the best defense-based heroes in the game, or HP-based damage dealers in the game, and it took like uncommons to get him, right?
Yeah,
so like you start in an easier free-to-play place, and then these companies see dollar signs in their eyes and get led astray, which it really sounds like is what's going on with Raid right now. Quite frankly, it doesn't just sound like that. It was like that the entire time I played it. It just only got worse. So I want to make sure, I mean, one thing we can touch on now or later, is the devs listen in this game, for sure, which sounds like that's what you're trying to make happen right now with your community in Raid Shadow Legends. So I'm hoping they listen to stuff like this, because I just think once you get too greedy and then it seems like there's a line you cross, it's very hard to go back. So like, do you think Raid has crossed that line, and like they're so blinded by greed that do you see a way that this resonates and it is a solution, or is this your just way of letting your voices be heard and hoping for the best? Is that a loaded question?
I love the idea that it could make a change. It's hard to know. I don't really know the numbers. There's a lot of disagreement on how much of the audience is YouTube based versus the rest of the player base, how much money we could actually take out of their pockets for the month of December. It's hard to really know. I really just more wanted their attention. I don't expect them to just start doing everything perfectly. And I think that's tough as a developer anyway. You're never going to make everybody happy. But I think it's obvious when you're making genuine changes for the health of the game and when you're just trying to pull money out of everybody's wallet. So I just want to see genuine attempts at healthy change in the game, even if they fail, even if they end up not being the greatest. I have a lot more patience for genuine effort than I do greed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to at least see that you want goodwill. You want to see that their heart's
I'd rather
in the right
them
place.
try and fail
than
just be greedy all the time.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I'll say the final straw with me with Raid was when I started doing things that weren't playing Raid, and like it wasn't the pandemic anymore, and I was like, this is literally impossible. I was planning my life sometimes certain days around the game, and I was like, they need to make quick battles or auto battles or something, because I cannot play a game for 4 hours a day. It's one thing when you're a content creator, but when I like was stepping away from content and trying to be a normal person again, it was literally impossible. So I was like, all right, cold turkey, let's do it.
I know people that weren't content creators that were setting alarms for 3 a.m. to make sure they could get up and finish an event. And it's like, that's insane that a mobile game is requiring that of you. Like, it's too much.
I remember I lost a fusion. This was probably the final straw. It was one of the last Raid videos I ever made. So I did a free-to-play series in Raid for a little over a year. And one thing was I was trying to get, maybe you'll remember his name. He was a barbarian legendary fusion hero. I think he was a fragment fusion, and he wasn't very good. He was like HP based. I think he did some shielding. This would have been like winter 2020 into 2021, I think. And he wasn't that good. But he... I
can't remember the name.
Yeah, but he was called like something Clan Father or Clan Master. That was his...
Pardon.
I remember I used to make the joke that it sounded French, like Pardon or something.
Yeah.
But he sucked. I don't know if they buffed him, but at the time, I didn't need him. My account was pretty darn good. I was free to play, but I'd been playing for almost a year. My account was pretty juiced. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was like almost 3 years into playing Raid at that point, and I lost that fusion because I was at work, and I got drinks after work with some friends, and then before I knew it, reset was coming, and I hadn't done all my summons, and I wasn't able to finish the summon event in time. So I was desperately trying to summon all my green shards. These are like shards that you can only get terrible heroes from, but you get 1 point for each bad hero. So I was like clicking, and then reset happened. I didn't do it in time, but on the way, I had a couple blue shards too, rare shards, and I got Prince Kymar, who's like one of the better heroes in the game.
Oh.
And I wasn't happy because I was so invested in the fusion, and they had me by the balls in such a way, and they had such a hold over my life. I was like driving home at 2:30 a.m. I pulled over on the side of the road, ripping crystals, and I get way better than the fusion. It'd be like if the fusion was for Azor and you pulled Hotsit, right? And I couldn't even get excited because I was like, wow, my life is, I'm at the side of the road right now, freaking. And I was like, all right, Raid completely. They are the puppet
It's like you had a
master.
zoom out moment. It's like,
Yes.
oh, this isn't okay.
And I made a video. I was like, I pulled an amazing hero, and I'm not happy. And it was like maybe my second to last video ever for Raid. So, well, hey, I'm really impressed by what you guys are doing. Have you had any moment where you feel like they might have heard you, or you think something might be coming, or right now it's just what someone might call a YouTube drama? I mean, I know it's not that, but where do you guys stand right now?
It's hard to say. There's been a few times during the month where I've something positive has happened, and I have to say I don't know if it's a result of what's going on or if this was already going to happen anyway, because I don't know. But I've probably said that 3 times this month, so maybe.
Is that more than last month?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, right? Like you can't.
It's something.
So what you guys are doing isn't hurting the game, that's for sure. Whether it's directly helped it certainly is. I mean, I think it's pretty darn cool. All right, I'm sure many people have asked you a million questions about this topic with relation to Raid, so we can move on from that unless you have any final thoughts. I don't know, or we can.
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Maybe let's take it in a Watcher of Realms direction. That's what I'm thinking. We can kind of wrap it up there. So I will say, just from my experience, I'm one, people call it whining. I would call it constructive complaining, but I'm certainly one to rant when I'm dissatisfied with the game, which I think is super justified because I don't know if anyone says more laudatory things in videos about this game. Like, I freaking love this game. I put out at least 1 to 3 videos every single day for this game, not getting paid to do it just because I love it. So I feel like a little sense of entitlement that when I hate something or don't like something, I'll let them know. And in my experience, let's just talk about Greed, for example. I've been shockingly impressed with how much it feels like the devs are listening, and from the dev contact that we do have, I know directly with certain things they are listening. That being said, I know you've been playing Raid for a super long time, right? Like longer than when I started. You were like an OG player or close to it, or when did you start?
Close to it. Not long after the Cernic fusion, so
okay,
not long after global launch.
So yeah, that would have been like start of 2019 or something, end of 2018, some in that space.
Somewhere, yeah, I think maybe like February, March 2019, perhaps.
So perspective for anyone watching that is unfamiliar with Raid and just a Watcher of Realms player, it'd be like if you started like in October or November in this game and you were still playing 5 years later, right? So I think you've had a good sense of perspective. I'd be really curious to see how quickly you saw things moving in, let's just call it like a pay-larium direction or a cash grab direction, and what might be like warning signs we want to keep our eyes out for right now. Because I know sometimes people think the game's being greedy, but I will just say, I mean, this is, I guess, subjective, but I have played a lot of gacha games at this time. I find this game to be shockingly generous. So I'm curious if you anything comes, but I will say, like, it's easy to be generous when you're brand new and you want to get people making videos like this where people talk about how much they like the game, right? So yeah, I mean, does anything come to mind in terms of like red flags or warning signs you saw with Raid, or things maybe you've already started to see with Watcher Realms? Anything we should be keeping our eye out for?
I think the biggest thing with Raid, the first big thing I remember is the Foley fusion thing that I mentioned.
Do you want to catch us up with that?
For anybody that's not familiar, yeah. So they did a fusion for Foley, and the events were very easy. Like if you play Raid in the last few years, you are not used to seeing the kind of fusion that Foley was. Every event was like strangely, suspiciously easy to get the pieces that you need for it. And there were new champs getting dropped, and one of them was a Void Rare. And they dropped the last event that you needed to get this last piece of the fusion, and it was I'm pretty sure it was a summon rush, and he was way down in the reward.
Super hard.
So you needed a ton of shards, and it didn't fit the tone of the rest of the fusion. So basically what they did was they strung you along for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and whatever it was, making you think this fusion was going to be really easy, and then dropped the last piece everybody needed behind this basically paywall. There was no way you were going to have the shards you needed to get through and finish it. And it was the first time they had really hit us like that. And
so they kind
up to that
of
point,
like lulled you into a false insecurity. You're like, I'm in the home stretch, I've got the fusion in the bag. So like if you think about Watcher of Realms, you're like at 70 out of 75 shards, and then you needed to do like 100 or 200 summons or something, you're saying, to get the last bit.
Right.
And no one could be prepared for that.
Yeah, and it was before they had kind of created the culture of sitting on your shards all the time.
Yeah.
This may have been the beginning of that mentality even. I'm not sure, but They just kind of it just kind of obvious they knew what they were doing, and it seemed out of character. I feel like that was the first big thing, and the reason it hit so hard was like, you guys haven't behaved like this before. This is really strange. And I don't know when it was when the sale to Aristocrat happened in relation to this, but the Aristocrat deal seems to have been the moment. Aristocrat is a gambling.
So if my memory serves, I joined Raid right before Tormund, which would have been like Christmas 2019. I think Foley would have been 2 before that. I think it would have been Harvest Jack, and then Foley would have been like a September fusion. Does that timeline sound right?
I don't know. I'm real bad at that, honestly.
I used to be like a savant with fusions. Like when I was really into Raid, I could name every rare fusion and what fusion they were part of.
Oh, wow.
I'm very obsessive with the heroes. Maybe, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. Okay, but yeah, for perspective. So that would have put us like, if this would be happening just timeline wise, let's think summer 2024. So if we want to think if we're worried we're on a Raid timeline, that's what people can keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I will say with this game, I made a big fuss. I wasn't alone in this one. I don't know if you might have been right when you started playing the Zila 2 Halloween skin. That was probably right when you started, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I've heard it mentioned, but I'm not familiar with.
So essentially, we have like our Oracle's Trials, which is our like PvP tournaments, where you're ranking against other players, and then you have Arrival of Heroes is a summoning tournament. It's like how many crystals can you summon, and you get better heroes. It's just like a Summon Rusher. I don't know what you call it in Raid. I can't remember. Champion Chase. It's the same thing as that.
Yeah, okay.
And then they have like their normal leaderboard, which is like me versus the 100 people, 99 people I got paired with. And then they had Ultimate Leaderboard, which I think in Raid would be called Global Leaderboard, and it's everyone on your server. And the top 50 people, so whoever summoned the most, got Zila 2's skin, which we found out was going to get stats. And we were all freaking out because we're like, it's going to have stats and it's going to be crazy and it's going to be a slippery slope. And then we found out the stats were like 0.6% attack boost. So super marginal. But then I made a video again being like, well, hey guys, this is a slippery slope. They're just tipping their toe in the water. They're going for and also what drove me nuts is they said, get your free Zila 2 skin free because you'll win it in the thing. The only way you can win it is by summoning like 1,000 times, which is literally impossible for free, right? So it's like, you can call it a reward if you want, but you can't call it a free reward. So I was really angry, and it seems like they've really dug their feet in, and they said, we're gonna keep stats on skins, but we're gonna keep the stats teeny tiny. Mawbucket actually went and researched their other game. Oh my god, what's it called? Mr. Bash Bash or something like that. I mean, it's not called that. People are gonna go crazy. It's like the biggest game in the Philippines. It's a humongous game, right? Something All-Stars, like MBB. People are gonna be lighting me up in the comments. It's like 20, 50 times more popular than Watcher of Realms. But wow. They do the same thing in that game. So they have skins and they're super low stats, and apparently like that's their business model. So I was like, all right, I'll forgive this. However, I'd be lying if I said I'm not keeping an eye and waiting to see if, okay, now a skin has 1% attack, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would classify as a red flag. That's a dangerous game to play as a developer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think things like that, because I never understand with these games, and I'd be thrilled for them to go to like a pay-to-win route just with aesthetic. Why not? If someone wants to spend $20 and I don't, and they get like a cooler looking arrogant skin,
100%.
I want the game to make money. I think sometimes people think I don't want that, and people think I don't like whales or krakens. I freaking love them. That's why I'm able to play the game for free, right? They're shockingly important to the community. But yeah, things like that I think are red flags. I guess one thing we can do, maybe this is a nice way to end the conversation. I mean, have you been keeping up with the Alistair fusion? It's going to be kicking off tomorrow.
I don't know a lot about the plan. I just know that I'll keep up with it as I go, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll try to anyway.
I mean, it's our first legendary shard summoning event, so like your fragment event we have, and it's going to be interesting to see how hard it is, right? So with the epics, it's only 75 shards. With this one, it's going to be 200. Maybe it's going to be really easy to get those, but it might be the same thing like with Foley, so I guess we can all keep a watchful eye, right? It's right. Kind of TBD. Like I do these fusion tracker calendars that people seem to appreciate. We have our next one. It will either come out. We just finished it, so I'll either make the video for that tomorrow or on Saturday. So look forward to that, everybody. But it will be interesting to see people are asking me how many resources do I need, how many points is it going to be, and the only reference we have are these epic fusions, right? Which I presume this will be harder. So this will be a nice little thing. Is this going to be free to play? I sure hope so. On Forerunner it was, like with past legendaries, but we don't know, right?
Yeah. When did Watcher Global launch? How long is it officially?
July 14th, I believe.
So we're like what, right?
We're about hitting the halfway part, I think.
Okay. So what I've noticed with a lot of these games over the last couple of years is they come out real good. And then somewhere around the 6-month mark, I guess, is when the money really starts to show, and everything changes. So
I mean, if we do some math, right? So they would have started like towards the beginning of Q3 or heading into Q3, and we are like going to be wrapping Q4 now. So that's actually a great point. I think February will be hitting like a 6-month part. So we probably got a month.
The beginning of next year will be very interesting because you had Infinite Magic Raid, who got off to a great start. Awakening Chaos era off to a great start. Dragon Champions off to a great
Awakening
start.
Chaos era is the last game I ever spent money on, and that's it. That was it for me. Because I was in love with it. I was like, I basically quit Raid for that.
And such a good start.
It was amazing. Like, that's how I met Veiled Shot. For anyone that's been seeing Veiled Shot in my videos, like, awesome guy. He was an amazing creator for that. I was gonna start making content for that, and then I just started seeing everything go, and it all fell apart. Like, yeah. Eternal Evolution too, that was my big game this year. I didn't make content, but that was just what I played. And oh my god, it only took them about 2 or 3 months. But
yeah, it didn't take them as long, which is a shame because I think that one had so much potential.
So much potential.
I don't know. The only thing I can think is that money starts rolling in, and it just changes the way that they go from caring about their game to caring about the money. Is what it feels like.
The thing I wonder is, does the money come in and it's not enough, or is it so nice that they're like, dang, more of this would be nice, Or I mean, I guess it could be one or the other.
That.
You think it's the latter?
I can't imagine it's not enough. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
It's got to be so much. It's so much more than the none they were making before. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true. I mean, I've tried sitting down with a couple people and being like, how much? We did a thing the first time they did, or the second time they did an ultimate leaderboard. No, it was the second time. It was the same thing as the Zela 2 one. For the top 3, they got Soul Cadens. If you know him, he's like the ancient exclusives lord for Infernal. He's probably like the best skilled boss hero in the entire game. And they made him an exclusive, and he came out a month and a half later. He just came out with 2 ancient banners ago. But they made him the reward just for the top 3. So we did some math and tried to calculate it, and I was like low range. I was thinking like $250,000, but it could be a lot more. We just extrapolated based off the top 50. I think it must be the latter of the two things. Like, I think they see it and then they just go like blind with greed, right?
Yeah, I mean, Raid's been out for 5 years. They've made over $1 billion. So these games are pulling in money.
in revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
So it's unreal. It's unbelievable how much money these games make. So I can't imagine that it's not enough. I think what it is they make a lot, and they go, man, we could tweak this. We could make this 50 cents more expensive. We could push monetization a little bit harder here. And if we make all these little changes, I think they're under the impression like small changes make such big impacts. So they keep making small changes until it gets to where it's like overly monetized, overly imbalanced, overly geared toward rewards for summon rushes, free Zelitu skin type stuff.
I mean, that's another thing. And then it just gets
out of hand.
That's another thing people can keep an eye out. So gear recast is something that always is a red flag for me, right? Especially if people can start buying it. Right now, they just introduced those like gear recast hammers or whatever. If they make those that you can just buy a pack for like 20 for like 100 or 200 bucks, that's going to be an enormous red flag people can look out for. Right now, they're going to keep it very, very limited in like the Immortal shop, maybe a pack here and there. I don't know. I just want to say, I know it's called something Bang Bang. I can't get it out of my head, their other game, because it's I think it's called like Bang Bang All Stars or oh god, it's like it's
Are you thinking of Comedy Bang Bang maybe?
I mean, I love was Scott Ackerman. I love that guy. All right, I think that's probably a nice time to wrap it up then. Let us
I'm excited to see what this game's actually called.
But this game is like, tens of millions, and it's a huge game. It's bigger than Raid. It's a huge game. I just can't think of what it's called because I would never play it. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, JGigs, for coming on. Any final thoughts? How should we wrap this thing up? What do you think about Watcher Realms? Maybe what's your favorite thing? What's your least favorite thing? Because I know you're really enjoying the game.
I am having a blast with it. I think they did such a good job of combining the genres. The tower defense with the gacha mechanics. Very interesting kits. I'm glad that there's gearing. I've played a lot of tower defense games that tried this that didn't have gearing, and it doesn't hit because your account doesn't feel as unique.
That was. Do you ever play Arknights?
Briefly, yeah.
That's why Arknights couldn't work for me. My account felt like everyone's account, you know.
It's the Marvel Strike Force thing where it's like there's no real variety. You're just spending to advance what you have the most. But there's no diversity or unique elements to your account really. So yeah, I think they've nailed it with that. I think that they seem to do a good job of balance. I think the events and stuff are fun, which is a big deal for me. Obviously, it's grindy, but it's not undoable. I'm not having to set alarms and empty my resources out to participate.
Pull over on the side of the road.
Right. So I think that the game is more than anything else very fun, which is what I think that these games are supposed to be. And it seems like the developers are paying good attention. I've heard stories like you've talked about of them taking feedback and you know, doing what's appropriate based on the feedback. So it seems like they care a lot about the game. It's a ton of fun, and I sincerely hope this is the game that breaks the chain of the seemingly 6-month curse that seems to be floating around these games.
For sure. I feel like it does feel like every 3 months. So this is the game that's gonna take down Raid. Maybe we finally found it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think a nice little transition moment. The gameplay is super fun. So fun that I play it every day, and I do takeovers for people every day. So we're going to head over to JGigs' channel right now, where I'm going to do a 318 takeover for him, which honestly, I'm so delighted when you brought this idea up, because people have been asking me to make 318 content. I haven't made 318 content since I beat it a few months ago. And I can't put out 318 content now with my account because that wouldn't be very fair, realistic content. So this is going to be a live kind of, we'll edit it a bit probably, but we'll just do like a live 2-person takeover where I'll get into his account, he'll ask questions, we'll explain everything, and I'm really excited to get in there. So let's finish this video. Everyone be sure to check that out. Check out all of JGigs stuff, and honestly, check out JGigs RaidShadowLegends stuff, because those are the only RaidShadowLegends videos I've watched. I hadn't watched a RaidShadowLegends video in a year, but when I heard about No 9 December and we started chatting, I actually binged like 5 in a row, because if you're into the gacha space, people, it resonated with me. It did. You guys can tell. All right, JGigs, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. It was fun to link up.
Absolutely. Guys, like the video. If you like it, get in the comments, ask us any questions. You know I answer every single comment. Subscribe, share it with your mother, and I'll see you in the next one. You see it end on victory right there?
Hell yeah, it's perfect.
That was freaking sweet. It's like, victory.
Share it with your mother is pretty good.
Fastidious.